Today, I would like to do both closing and opening sentences. I usually split these up, but you guys have come such a long way with your speeches, and I feel like almost everybody has one or the other already pretty solid. Some of you really know how you're going to open, some of you really know how you're going to close, and some of you are really close on one or the other. So I'm going to try to do both of them today and just see if we can get you like bookends so you know where you start and where you end. And another great reason to do this together is because oftentimes they relate to each other. You open with a story that, introduces the problem, and then by the end of the talk, we need to wrap that problem up and kind of give it a nice bookend where you resolve it using your technique or something similar. You might have a little metaphor at the front of the talk that comes back in at the end. So think about that as we're talking about this. They might relate to each other. Okay, so I have some PowerPoints. We're actually going to start with the closing piece because one, it's so underrated. I feel like people, when they make a talk, myself included, I spend hours on that opening line. And then it comes to the closing line and I spend a few minutes. I'm like, okay, good enough, let's do it. Or it gets to the end of the talk and I just don't have time to wrap up. So I just kind of wrap it up and there we go. And so I don't want that to happen for you guys. I want you to really think about what this talk needs to end on and really use it as a mic drop moment. So let me pull up our PowerPoint here. Here we go. Okay. So this is your big finale, your closing power statement, your rally cry, call to action. It should feel and sound like a boom mic drop moment. This is what you want people to be tweeting after your talk. The last thing you're going to leave them with. So here are some examples from some very popular talks. Simon Sinek. It is those who start with why that have the ability to inspire those around them. Boom. Miss Brene Brown. When we work from a place that says, I'm enough, then we stop screaming and we start listening. We're kinder and gentler to the people around us, and we're kinder and gentler to ourselves. Longer and still, boom. She drops the mic and you can remember that much of it. And good old Robert Waldinger, man, I love this talk. It's all about how it's all about this. The good life is built with good relationships. Boom, that's a quotable thing, right? So there is good news. You don't have to pick just one of these, or not one of those, but one of the powerful statements that you want to say. Most TED Talks have several boom statements all throughout their talk. And you guys are doing this too. After reading over everyone's talk, like you have some powerful statements that are already in there, and you can all add a few more that help you sum up each little section. And if you say them in the right way, they will boom, change people's minds. So you can drop the mic like 5 times in a 10-minute talk. Okay, so let's take a look just really quickly here at Amy Cuddy. This is her body language talk, second most popular TED Talk ever. It's just amazing. She has tons of boom lines. It can significantly change the way your life unfolds. Boom. And she lets that sit there. Can you fake it till you make it? Boom. Oops. Tiny tweaks create big changes. Boom. Try a power pose and share the science. And then her final one, don't fake it till you make it, fake it till you become it. So almost all of these can sum up her talk, right? And they certainly sum up her different sections. So create some power statements here. That's what we're going to do today, is create some power statements that you feel like is the core of your message, or one of the cores. The other thing I want to say about this is it's also going to slow down your talk. So I know that for those of you who need to still edit, you're like, no, I got to get there faster. But think about this. If you can take several of your words and combine them into a shorter, powerful statement, that's how you can start to edit and streamline. It's like, okay, this is the most important statement. I have to make it. And if I make it with enough power, then I can take out most of this paragraph. So let this help you edit down by getting some nice power statements here. Okay. So whether or not you feel you have your end power statement, try out these prompts here for about 6 minutes or so. See if you can get some cool punch me in the face power statements that sum up your talk. And even if you have your end statement, you might get some great new statements to put in throughout the talk. I really like the most abrasive way I can say this is, okay, because this is not the time to hold back. This is the time to really plant your flag here and say, this is what I'm trying to say, people. It gets as powerful as this. Okay, I'll give you about 5 or 6 minutes. Just use the chat if you want to chat with me. I'll re-put up Amy Cuddy's boom lines here for more inspiration. She's got a question in there. She's got like a challenge, call to action. Try a power pose and share the science. That's her telling you what to do. It's a directive. That works well. Okay, let me stop our share here, stop the screen share and come back to the big group. Okay, we don't have time right now to go around and hear from everyone, but I just wanted to hear 2 shares before we move on to the content around opening lines. Who has one that they kind of like? Don't have to share all of them, but just share one that you're like, not bad. Dana, let me unmute you. There you go.
I think my closing statement is you and I, and of course it's how you say it and body language and all that are yada yada stuff. So I'm just sort of like reading here, but you know, you and I can change the direction of our world.
Boom! Mic drop.
Yeah.
Yes, you and I can change the direction of our world. Awesome. Awesome. Love it. Cool. Anyone else got a mic to drop? Heather's got a mic to drop. Let me unmute you. There you no. There you go.
Okay. I think my best one is, my point is that the only thing keeping children from changing the world is us telling them not to.
Ooh, look at that. Yeah.
Heather, can you say that again?
My point is the only thing keeping children from changing the world is us telling them not to.
Ooh, or talks all about compliance, teaching compliance.
Yeah, but I would leave out my point is.
I wrote one for each of the examples, so
I would really leave out the point is. I mean, if you're going to slam it, you need to say the only thing.
Yeah.
You know, not my point is. You know, that weakens your statement. You got to slam it.
Yeah, she's just using the prompts that I gave you guys.
I was just complying with Amanda.
When did that start? Being black?
Hey, I've had a good, you know, handle on Heather. So, no, I haven't.
I don't know. I'm pretty compliant with everybody.
Oh yeah. Okay. I'm going mute now. Okay.
Yeah. You don't want to get in the middle of this. I don't blame you. Yeah, I like that. I like that. And it definitely kind of ruffles our feathers here. So personally, I would not put it as your final one.
You want me to leave them mad at me?
But it's a great one to get to drive her point home about compliance, right? Because that word is very touchy. So, you know, put that in when you're talking about that. Yes. Okay. I think you guys are getting it. That was just my little way to take the temperature. So if you're not feeling like you have a favorite one, then we can talk more later. All right, let's keep moving over to opening lines. We're going to do this with opening lines, and then we're going to break up into groups and talk about both, okay, with your partners. So it doesn't matter if I open my PowerPoint, I have to share it with you guys. I'm going to get it. Okay. Opening hooks. So the job of an opening hook is a little different than the mic drop, okay? The mic drop is something you can do once something is open. You can drop a mic in there. That's kind of how I like to think of it. Once they're open to this, then they're ready to receive you. But the job of the opening hook is to get them open. So you want to be pulling on some different strings here. You want to be tugging on their curiosity, tugging on their attention, tugging on the file in their brain that you want to pull up and drop new things into. Okay, so we have to do all of those. So orient the audience, grab attention. Of course, we all know spunky, hooky, attention grabbers are great. Okay, but you can also orient the audience to you or your topic in that opening hook, which is helping them pull up that file there. So saying something about the topic, but not giving the whole thing away would be really smart here. On the same note, acknowledging the problem, bringing the problem to the table, or especially for you guys, since you're all challenging the status quo on something, bringing up the status quo, you know? In one of my openings for a talk, I say that, did you know, or have you heard the rumor that 93% of communication is nonverbal? So I'm bringing that up in their minds. And then I also say, and did you know also that 85% of statistics are just made up on the spot? You know, get a little humor in there, have some fun, and also bring to their attention that this rumor might not be true. And in fact, it isn't really true the way that I said it. So that's really great to do too, is just acknowledge the status quo. Maybe say a fact that's commonly accepted, but that's not necessarily true and that you're about to debunk. Could be a good opening. And then, of course, what we want it to do is just make you have to listen. So do not be afraid to be controversial here or shocking. Some of you that are starting with a story, you know, Linda, I'm thinking of you in particular. Linda's starting with the most shocking part of her story. And it's going to make me have to listen. Okay, so.
Yeah, that was just to interrupt, that was the question I was going to ask next, was because I'm starting with my story first, yeah. And is that okay?
Yep, I really like your opening, Linda. So get some feedback from your buddy today, but I'm in. And she talks about, we talked about this last time, so I think you guys will remember. She talks about her mom wedged in between the wall and the toilet. And gosh darn it, now I have to listen. I'm in. I've got to find out the answer to that problem. So see if your buddy's line gets you in. Do you have to listen? Okay, so let's jump right to some prompts to find your own opening line. There I was is definitely if you're opening with a story, and you don't have to say there I was. You just can jump right in. What if I told you is really great to bring up the topic. You may have heard, there's that shocking fact or stat or common rumor. Or what if I could show you a way to? This is really good when you pair it with some highly desirable results. What if I could show you a way to have spontaneous healing? You know, thinking of you, Mary, I'm not sure if that's where you want to go with this, but a highly desired result in there is great. And then something about you that's kind of funky. You know, if you want to dispel anything about you personally that comes across, we call it the elephant in the room in speaking. You know, sometimes I just have to, depending on my topic, I just have to dispel any concerns about my weight or my age. Those are two things that get in the way of me communicating. You know, I don't think of them as factors anymore, but some audiences will. There was this great TED Talk that at the TEDx that I went to in Denver, that was by a biker dude who had PTSD, and the way he solved his PTSD was he became a fashion designer. And so it was this incredible mismatch between, you know, biker dude, and then like what he did was he had all these models come out on stage, and they're in these gorgeous, crazy dresses that he had designed. And yeah, and he was wearing a shirt that said, "This is what a feminist looks like," which of course is not what we think of a feminist as looking like. So you might want to just bring something like that up. By looking at me, you may not guess something. Okay. Another good thing to do. Now, I have to say, if it's, you know, something random, it can come across as a little self-centered or something. Like, by looking at me, you may not guess I just got back from Hawaii or something like that. That's kind of a little brag. You don't want to use it for that. So use that one sparingly, but sometimes it's really important. Okay, so I'm going to give you another 5 minutes with these and see if you can get to an opening sentence that you like. Or if you already have your opening sentence, you want to tweak some more power statements, it's a good way to use the time as well. And I'll be on the chat. Just in our final minute or so, also check in with your power statements and see if there's a way to bring in something from where you're going to end up, bring it into the beginning. Okay. Cool. I meant to say, I'm not sure I said this when I was talking about this slide, great opening hooks. Great opening hooks often don't do all of these things. They do one or two really well, and then they don't worry about having to do all of them. So I don't want you to put that pressure on your opening statement. But yeah, just to get you going. That's where you want to be aiming. Okay, cool. So let's hear a couple of those. Who has an opening statement other than Dana and Heather, since they already shared?
Do you want me to share mine?
Yeah, Linda. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just going straight into it.
That's great.
When I was 6 years old, I have a vivid memory of my mom curled in a childlike fetal position in the bathroom squeezed between the toilet and the wall. She was crying, unresponsive, and seemed unaware of our presence. My dad and I and my sister and two brothers were standing on, maybe it's right there, but anyway,
Yeah.
in the bathroom doorway. My dad turned to us and said, "Your mom is sick and is going away for a little while. This is a secret. Don't tell anyone your mom is sick."
Yeah. Yeah. I'm hooked by that. You guys too? Like you just like, okay, well, this is worth me really listening to this. I mean, you'd be surprised how many decisions they have to make to be into your talk. And still, right before you come on stage, we need them to make that final decision to give you their full attention right there in the moment. And that does it. So, nice.
My only question on this part now is that I titled my talk "The Undeniable Dangers of Secrets," and I'm not sure that I've met that promise. So I'm trying to go through to figure out, like, I know this is not about openings and closings as much, but it kind of ties into that, like making sure that at the opening and at the end that I've met my promise. So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to figure that out.
I think that's a great question to be asking yourself at this moment is, have I really met my promise? Have I really, like, by the time I say what I want to say at the end, have I proven that all the way through with those 6 elements of it? The research, the personal experience, the broader application, and remembering what I read from your talk, Linda, I think where you could up your game a little bit is the research, but everybody probably has one thing that needs to get turned up a little bit. So yeah, good thing to consider. Dana, do you have a comment on Linda's?
Yeah, I think that's, I don't feel that's the opening. You didn't wham me. You've stepped into your story, but it's not like, bam, for me, because I've heard the story and I'm feeling like I want something in the beginning. Personally, I would rather have you come out, and here's Linda, whatever they do, and then you stand secrets, deadly secrets. I remember when I was 6 years old.
So you want her to orient us to the topic a little more.
Yeah, I think that I remember when I was 6 years old, it's kind of like, where am I going? I don't know what. Anyway, that's my opinion. So
Okay.
You do your thing, but that's my opinion.
Cool. I think she can take that in and kind of mull it around and see where she lands on that. Awesome. That's kind of what I want to do today is have you guys read your ideas to each other in pairs and get some opinions. Get the opinion of your fellow writers here. Are they hooked? Are they almost hooked? Are they kind of confused? And just make sure that you're connecting with what you want to say. Okay, make sure it's what you want to say and also something that they can relate to. So you got a good connection going on. Okay, can we hear one more opening statement idea from someone who has not shared? Anything that you like that you're considering using? Not really. Mary, can I call on you? Oh, I'm unmuting you.
Okay.
Oh, you're unmuting you. Cool.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'm going back and forth between two. So I kind of started my story or my talk with my story. So I'll start with that one. There I was at the Getty Museum when I was summoned to receive the call. The call that said, Mrs. Dravis, this is the coroner in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I'm calling to tell you that your 19-year-old son, Ben, died this morning at 11:30 a.m. by a gunshot to the head.
Yeah, that's very powerful, Mary. Of course.
Mary, what's the other one that you have?
So the other one was, what if I told you that as many as 2 in 5 children are dying from a disease that is a cancer of the spirit?
Much more you're orienting us to your topic much more.
I like that better. I like that better, and then go into your story.
I kind of liked it better as well. I like them both because the first one definitely shocked me. And the second one also drew me in. So yeah, I'm kind of agreeing maybe that you would go with the second one first and then draw us into the story, because it's gonna take a minute for people to process the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does kind of warm us up and kind of seems to me it would connect your title to your story.
Mm-hmm.
I also think the second one gives a different purpose to why we're listening than the first one. So the first one, I want to listen to you out of empathy and sympathy, and I want to understand. And the second one, I want to listen because this is a problem that needs to be solved. So if we're going to get to problem solving, I'd rather hear the first one or the second one first, and then go into the other one, just as a frame of why I'm listening. I'll listen to either, but.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Great feedback. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so this is what we want to do with our small groups. Just debating if I want to have you guys maybe be in groups of 3 today, so that it gives not just one other person's perspective, but gives you the benefit of 2. Okay, let's do that. So we'll take a full 30 minutes then to get this done. So you have 10 minutes each, all right? And then we'll come back and talk about what you got to. So, it's like amazing to me to see how some of your talks are related. So actually, I'm just going to randomly assign you guys. Oh, grr, stop doing that. Okay. Okay, awesome. The universe has decided who your group mates are, and I'll be just kind of going back and forth between them to hear what you guys are talking about, okay? So just go ahead into your rooms and give each other some feedback on hookiness and power statements.
I don't mind, but
Yeah, well, why don't you go first? That's fine. You can still talk.
well, I think the beginning of I think one way of opening for me is just prejudice, racism, hate. Where is our world heading? And then why or why? Why is there prejudice, racism, hate? You know, but I want to just say, for me, an opening is not the beginning of a story. I want to make a statement and then move in. That's my preference. So that would be my opening, is just stating those 3 things, and then why is our world so embedded with it? And my closing statement would be, you and I can change the direction of our world. Because I'm giving them ways of interacting and learning about people before judging people. So that would be my close. And I have one other statement in there that so far is, are they really different from us? So getting to know people because they're not that different from us. So.
I like the 3-word opening. I would start with either racism or hate and then end with prejudice, or I just feel like prejudice is the least powerful of those 3. So
Okay.
And then your other power statement, I think if you change it grammatically somewhat, it could be the second sentence if you wanted it to be. You know, are others really so different than us? Or are those we hold biases against really so different than us? Or something.
Okay.
You're going to change it slightly if that's what you want to do, but.
Got it.
I think also, did you notice how Heather said others? I think saying others instead of they. I don't know if you, like most of your speech, did you use they? Because I feel like they, because what you said, they and us, it's kind of like, are you talking about like us as in us white people, and then they as in like colored people? You know what I mean? I think that they can be like a big trigger word for some people. So just like maybe others, I liked the way that sounded.
Okay, yeah.
Unless that's the point you're trying to, unless that fits with your.
You could even say they, so different from us.
Yeah.
Those
Right.
words are so, we're so over those words.
Well, I'm just real quick looking at my draft, and it's like, do you wait to see who they really are before judging them? Others wouldn't fit there, but others in this first statement would be a better place.
I would argue that others would fit there, and you probably will get more of a response from people if you say others. So if you say, do you wait to learn who others really are before you judge them? Or I didn't memorize your sentence, but
Or
Yeah.
even the word people. Do you wait to judge? I forgot your sentence too. But do you wait to judge people before you, or like instead of they people? Because like, let me give you an example. So I wish my friend who is Muslim and from Somalia would be in the audience. She might come. She probably won't be able to make it. But if you were to say they and us, they, it's kind of like she would be in the audience like, are you talking about they like me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Sorry if I offended you, but I'm
No,
just
I'm not offended. I'm just kind of looking at my draft, kind of thinking how I'm going to do this, and I have absolutely no. I don't think of them and they. And I have friends from all over the world, so I don't think of it like that. But yeah. Okay, I hear what you're saying. So
Yeah, it's a good point. You don't want to be perpetuating the thing that, like subtly perpetuating the thing that you're obviously against.
yeah, I mean, I've never even
So my question, Dana, is how will you get from your 3-word opening? And I agree, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then how do we get into the talk? Like, what's the first line of the talk to keep that power high?
Okay, so if we're opening it with racism, hate, prejudice, why is this so prevalent in our world today? And then, what contributes to the whirlwind of prejudging before we have a chance to have understanding and common ground? What does this say about our society when we hate someone before we have an opportunity to speak to them?
Okay.
I wonder, and I just am wondering, and I'm not sold on this, but instead of saying, why is it so prevalent, but to say, why haven't we moved forward enough? And I don't like that phrasing tons, but in the last 50 years or in the last 20 years, or how come we haven't, we had the civil rights movement, but we haven't been able to conquer this, this evil or whatever. When I'm in my classes, so I took a power and privilege doctoral class this summer, and we were super challenged on a bunch of this stuff, but it wasn't the impact of this exists, because we all kind of know we're confronted with it existing a lot, but the fact that it's not getting any better, I think, was more powerful to people in that class, at least, than just knowing it existing. Because already knowing existing, but we hadn't really taken a second to be like, hey, that particular piece didn't get any better in the last 20 years. We thought at least we were getting better. We might not have solved it, but we felt like we were getting better.
I remember thinking that same thing when we were first talking about this topic, because I really was concerned about you making sure to say something new. And I think this piece of, hello, it's not getting better, is one of the new things, one of the ways to keep it super fresh and let people know, no, you haven't heard this before. I'm talking about right now.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You guys are doing great.
Hey, Amanda, I almost wore that shirt today.
Haha.
To more than just cancer, of course.
Mm-hmm.
How we are at war with our own bodies so much of the time, rather than truly embracing whatever we feel is wrong, looking at it from a different point of view, a different perspective of how we can heal from that.
Rather than just trying to cut, burn, and poison it out of our systems. Because all conflict, all disease is, you know, disharmony within. It's a conflict within and the resistance. And so, yeah, that's kind of where this went, which I really wasn't anticipating it going, but maybe, I mean, maybe it's a good way to do it. I just need to shift a couple things around a little bit, but yeah, I'm okay with that message. There's nothing wrong with that. So, and really one of the ways that I healed from cancer, it wasn't, I didn't fight it. I loved and accepted it. And really asked what message it came to bring, because there were so many messages from a metaphysical and spiritual perspective that came into my life. It wasn't just about the physical healing. It was about whole healing, mind, body, spirit, and soul, and becoming whole again. So yeah, I think there's some pieces there. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
Not knowing what you guys were talking about, so sorry if this is off topic, but Mary, what you just talked about as far as your process, you know, having read your script here, I would love to hear a little bit more of that. You know, the time between you decided not to fight it and it healed. Like, what happened, you know? And I'm doing this because I want, like, about a paragraph, not too much, but
Yeah.
you know, I want a little paragraph in there of what thoughts you did have and what even actions you did differently, such as not going to burn, cut, and poison it. But that phrase right there is really powerful. I decided I could not burn, cut, or poison this out of my body.
Okay.
I decided I had to love it, and then what that looked like. So,
Okay. Cool.
Mary, too, do you want to go?
Okay, so we already talked about my opening. So if I go with the opening, the second one that I said, if I told you that as many as 2 in 5 children are dying from a disease that is a cancer of the spirit, then looking at my closing, so I have a couple options here. So my point is, this disease is preventable. When we learn to identify the need to be perfect and change to embrace having true compassion for self and others. The other one is, if everyone would just do this, which would be learn to identify and have compassion. If everyone would just do this, we can greatly reduce the number of children and loved ones dying from perfectionism.
wow.
That's powerful. I like that ending.
What went off in my head just now was greatly reduce the number of children dying to be perfect, or something like that.
Ooh,
Work out.
interesting.
Yeah, it's a little play on words, but and I don't want to cheese it up, but it might work.
I like it. Yes. Okay.
I'm just curious, from going from that opening statement to your story, which, by the way, that I've never heard your story, that part of your story. It was powerful to have that sentence or two that you said about how you were told. I'm curious how you make that transition. Maybe Amanda has an idea, but it's kind of, I think, still a part of the opening, but there's like a transition there. What were you thinking in terms of that, like that opening line and moving into the transition?
Well, that's a good question because that wasn't how I how I started my talk. I started my talk with my story, but I do like that other opening. And so I'm not really sure how that's going to flow, although I think it's going to be kind of a natural transition.
Mm-hmm.
Because the opening statement is such a statement, you probably could just start where you started in your draft.
Uh-huh.
Into your story.
Right.
But you want to try it like that and just see?
See how it sounds?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay. What if I told you that as many as 2 in 5 children are dying from a disease that is the cancer of the spirit? It was a cool, rainy California day, and I was enjoying an afternoon at the Getty Museum with my oldest and youngest sons. While wandering the aisles, looking at various works of art, I was summoned to come to a conference room. As I waited, I wondered, my sons were off in another area of the museum, and I wondered what trouble they would have gotten into that required the staff to come and find me. I was seated in a small conference room where I was told I would receive a phone call. As I waited, I wondered who knew I was even here and who would be calling me. As I held the cold black phone receiver to my ear, I heard the words, "Mrs. Drabus, this is the coroner in Fort Collins, Colorado. I'm sorry to call you to tell you that your son died this morning at 11:30 a.m. It appears he shot himself in the head." And then then I go on with, and then actually after that, I go on to those facts more. So did that sound like a transition?
It's like almost.
Yeah, I was thinking one more sentence between the two, something about I had this powerful personal experience that brought it home to me, or a line that moves it from the audience back to you. That's a broader line, but I think it's just one small sentence.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. What do you think, Mary Rust?
Yeah, I agree that it would be nice to have a little transition. I like what you had said, Linda. That just kind of connects the first part to her personal story.
Mm-hmm. What if I told you 2 in 5 are dying from a disease that's a cancer of the spirit?
And that my spirit was in, I don't know. Here's how my spirit was impacted.
I mean, I could go the angle of like, I didn't realize this either until I don't want to say until it was too late, because that just
I know you want, and I know you don't want to set up.
right, the punchline there.
Well, I think just saying until this was brought home to me, or until I had this very personal experience, or
Until it touched my own life.
yeah.
Might be too much, giving it away too much, but
All right, well, I'll work with that.
yeah, touched my own life is still general enough, I think. Yeah.
What about something like, what if I told you that as many as 2 in 5 children are dying from a disease that is a cancer of the spirit? a cancer that can strike at any time.
Ooh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then say your next line.
And you could say like, I know this all too well, and then go into your story or something like that. But I like what you said, Mary. I mean, even that helps.
It does. It
Yeah.
does, because it says the word time, and then you tell us about a time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I
And
just
I
go
can
into
sense that as you say that, I can start to sense that I'm going into something really personal and powerful. Like there's this tension that you're building, or this anticipation that you're building in these first two sentences.
Okay, everybody's back. Good job. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay, it's so quiet on the line today. It's just all right, cool, great work. I got to see you guys in action in your rooms, and I can tell you're giving each other great feedback, so really appreciate it. It's so fun to have a group of such professionals and great communicators. I'm just going to put in the chat the link about the tickets, so all the info should be there. You get your free ticket, of course, plus 2 other free tickets.
I think I'll invite my sister. She'd really like this.
No, don't bring your sister. She doesn't like these things. So your free people will still need to physically get a ticket. They'll just be free. So you'll just have them enter the promo code of free. And Eventbrite's a little confusing on that. You have to do it before you select the number of tickets. Okay? So there's our better link there, brighternow.eventbrite.com. Should be good. Okay.
Does that come with the recording when we get the recording?
The link?
Yeah.
Yes, I will send it out, but I also put it in the chat here today.
Right. Okay.
Okay, yeah. But you want me to send you like a promo email that you could send out to your people? That would be awesome.
Oh, well, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. What I do is I just put little snippets of you guys' talks. I just kind of pull out maybe your title or maybe something you're going to reveal in your talk. And yeah, so.
What if we think we want to change our title now?
Well, send it to me, but I probably won't say this is the title. I'll
Okay.
probably just use this that I know from what you guys are talking about. So, and if something is wrong, if I say something and you were like, whoa, you're overpromising me or something, feel free to let me know. But just know that no one's going to hold you to the promo material on the event night. They don't, come in like, well, I thought we were going to hear this. So it's okay. They're very go with the flow once they get in the seats. So.
And when you send that email, you're going to have the pricing and everything?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's early bird $5 right now, and then $10. And the point of the early bird is to give people a deadline, right? So we don't want to just give them one deadline. We want to give them two deadlines. So we get some more butts in the seats. Okay, so I want to hear the results of your breakout sessions and who feels like they have something to move forward with. Something you didn't share in the big group last time.
Well, we talked about discrimination and why isn't it getting better? So I need to add that in there, that why are we still in this place when we should be way ahead?
Yes.
Yeah. And also the them or they, I guess, could be offensive to somebody. So to use others or people or folks or, something a bit more benign. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And so do you want to hit us with a new power statement, Dana?
No. I mean, that's not really going to change the power statement. It's just in
Let's
overall.
see. You shared your power statement before, so hit us with your opening statement.
Opening statement is so I changed it, the order. It was prejudice, hate, and racism, and now no. It was prejudice, racism, and hate, and now it is racism, hate, prejudice. Why is this so prevalent in the world today? Why are we, and so I think here is where I say, why haven't we gotten any farther in the 30, 50, 60 years,
Yeah.
We should be farther along by now. So I'm going to throw that, but the 3 words I like, to me, I just think it's BAM.
Yeah. It's gonna BAM.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it.
And we could ask that question of all of our topics.
Yeah, well, yes. True
Yeah.
enough. True that.
Yeah, I almost want to add the word still to your
Yeah.
one-liners there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Anybody else who didn't share before want to share, or wants to share the other one that they didn't share before?
Don't make me keep talking. 'Cause I will.
I can share
was
if you guys
curious.
want.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't heard from Morgan for a little bit, I
Yeah,
guess.
Morgan and Mary Russ, we haven't heard from you in the bigger group. Mary Russ, good. I saw you move. You get called on. All right, you're on.
All right, I moved to tell Morgan to go ahead because I feel like I'm like shifting my talk a little bit, but one of the statements that came out, I think people liked that I need to redo my beginning, but let me find it here. Are we really winning the war on cancer, or are we simply continuing to battle it?
Ooh.
And so, yeah, they wanted me to put that up closer to the front, and I was just thinking, like, maybe I can find statistics on how long we've been fighting the war on cancer. Like, we've been fighting the war on cancer since blah, blah, blah. The question is, are we really winning the war, or are we just continuing to battle it? So,
Yes, 'cause that is so great, because that really is your whole point, isn't it?
well, it is now. I didn't realize that until like this week. But yeah, so if I were to lead with, we've been fighting this battle since whatever, I don't even know what I can find. And then go right into, so are we really winning the war on cancer, or are we just continuing to battle it?
Yeah.
Does that sound okay, guys?
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Okay.
Really good.
And I think, I mean, cancer's been around for a long time. But I think if just take one portion of battling cancer, like chemo. We've had chemotherapy for, and that's just one, because if you say, well, we've been battling cancer for 100 years. Well, wait a minute. I know my great grandma died of cancer, so, but if you could, just at one point of treatment, we've been doing this one thing.
Yeah,
That
if you have to get specific in that moment, you could just pull out one thing. You could pull out an old newspaper article or something like that, where the first mention of the war on cancer, battling cancer or something happened.
Yeah, because I think there actually is a time period that they coined the word, war on, I think there is, but I don't know right now. So, maybe I can just find that date and so I don't have to like pinpoint like conventional treatments and like tick someone off.
Right.
But if that works for you, if I can find that date on when it was coined, would that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely. I think so. Are we just continuing to fight? Cool.
Okay, wait. It says here that in 1971, President Nixon declares war on cancer.
Okay.
In your face.
Booyah.
There you go.
President Nixon, you said? I'm just taking
Yeah.
a couple notes.
Reagan.
1971.
No, President Nixon in December 23rd, 1971, declares war on cancer.
And you could say something like, we've been fighting cancer for 3 times as long as we've been fighting in Iraq, or something that makes it, like, puts it in perspective for something else that's a war we've been fighting.
That seems like a long war.
Seems like way too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's 3 times as long as we've been fighting in Iraq. I like that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, because it's kind of time to end that war too, right? It's like, let's get over this.
Yeah, and that's kind of my entire
Right.
talk is now ending up how we're battling ourselves and each other, and that, you know,
Just
cancer is not only a physical disease, it's a global epidemic. And that's kind of how what I'm leading into is we've got to stop fighting with ourselves and each other, and we need to start healing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how my talk has changed its entire direction. It doesn't really talk about spontaneous healing at all.
Yeah, I know it doesn't necessarily, like we were really talking about that for the title, but that's been your point this whole time, is that fighting it is different than healing it and
Totally.
listening to it.
Yes.
Right? What's really hit me about you from the beginning is that listening to it word, because I just think that's so much the answer to so many things. So
Yeah.
okay, cool. We have just time for one last share. Anyone want to share a little breakthrough? Morgan's telling me she would prefer not to share today. So I know we're all giving her space, but who wants to share one last shift?
I was working on my closing. So initially I said, by telling our secrets, we can heal our lives, communities, and our world. But then I started talking a little bit more, and I said, our lives, our community, and our world are saved by telling our secrets.
I like the flip. Yep, really like that. So this is it, guys. You guys have the main pieces of your talk, and just as you saw Linda do that one little tweak, that's where we're at right now. I don't know if you guys have heard that quote by Jerry Seinfeld, that a good day at the office for him as a communicator is taking something that was 9 words and making it 7 words. You know, that's the stage we're at right now, is to tweak and hone and just, can I carve this out? Can I just do a little bit? Not to the point where you're heading toward perfectionism, right? Because Mary Davis Parrish will come around and shake us out of that. But but just to the point, just in the way of putting some care in and just really feeling the sentence on your tongue. You know, and now you've gone from writing it, now it's time to start speaking it out. Like Linda, you just made that tweak by actually saying it and just keeping on talking for a little bit, and you flipped it. So that's where you guys are at right now, is just getting a nice written copy, edited down. Most of you need to edit down from what you have already. Some still need to turn up in some places, like we were mentioning, turn up the research part or put some extra power sentences in there, right? But now let's get it down to a script or a really detailed outline that has all the specific phrases in it that you want to say. Okay, so that's the homework for next week. And then after next week, you'll meet with me again and we'll run through it, and I'll just let you know if there's any huge gaping holes or any small tweaks that I see. But I'm not seeing any huge gaping holes for anyone right now. Okay, I really think you guys are right on track. I'm feeling good about it. So comb, edit, polish in the next week, and then at the next class we'll talk about delivery techniques, and then we'll be into our rehearsals. Okay,
And I don't know if I'll be at the next meeting, or if I will be, I'll be late.
Okay.
'Cause I have a workshop that I have to give.